The audio you're about to listen to was taken from our Instagram live stream.
Welcome, ladies, gents, and our non-binary friends to Spoiler Sleepover, a Nerd Camp Network production, and happy Pride to all.
That still sounds so good to hear.
I know, right? It's awesome.
Yeah, I do. Oh.
So how have you been? Before we get into anything, how have you been? I know this has been like a week for you, so what's been going on?
So, good things. I basically had a little bit of a vacation. Some personal stuff happened where, like, with family, everybody's doing about as okay as they can be at the moment. But other than that, I got my wonderful better half from the airport on Thursday. And she decided to tell me something on her flight over from England, that she was sitting next to what was it? What looks like could have been Rob's dad. Or an older version of Rob. Yeah. And I was like, I want a picture. She said, you can't do that. I'm like, you can.
You can. It's frowned upon, but you can do
it. just make real good friends and then just go, hey, I want to remember this. It was all for a reason. But yeah, basically just been hanging out and watching some TV and watching Tourist Trap, which we'll get to.
Yeah, buddy.
How's about you?
Yeah. Busy. I got sick at the beginning of the week. There's a stomach bug going around.
Wasn't for me.
Caught it. I don't know. Did you have a stomach bug?
I don't think so.
Yes. Okay. No, then it wasn't from you. I don't know where I caught it. But I went into work on Tuesday. Like, I woke up on Tuesday and I puked and I was like, well, that's not right. And I still showered and I went to work, because when you work in the kitchen industry and you're a chef, you go to work. It doesn't matter. I could be bleeding out of every orifice and I'm going to work. So I did. I went to work. They sent me home. And then I called out the next day because it was still both ends. But yeah, I've been watching Adventure Time. So that kind of got me through that. But other than that, I mean, I worked a wedding yesterday. I worked another 13-hour day. And yeah, I'm tired.
Didn't you go on a boat this past week, or weren't you supposed to?
Supposed to. I was sick.
Damn.
I missed it. Yeah, I was looking forward to it again because I had fun last time, but I guess with the incoming storm that we were having here in New England, the boat was worse than the last time. Because the last time it was a little like, wee, but apparently this time it was like, whoa! Everyone was just like, it was a nightmare. And I'm like, ugh. I'm sorry, guys. But
probably a good thing you weren't on that boat.
I mean, I probably would have been fine. I probably would have been pissing everybody off because I would have been like trying to surf and stuff. But yeah.
What's gonna happen? Ooh.
Literally. So let's jump into some what's been keeping you up at night. So what's been keeping you up at night, Jason?
Well, couple things. I haven't watched the newest episode of From yet. I will get to that. Right. But watching a lot of The Rookie. So I think I'm in early season 2 at this moment. Damn. Let me just say, there's one episode where Nolan and another character go out and something happens to that one other character that's just very sad. Hopefully you might remember that one.
Which character? We'll spoil this. If you're not watching The Rookie, man, you've had 6 years to get on this bandwagon. So
the thing is, I'm watching it with her and she's right over there.
And she hasn't seen the episode yet.
You want me to spoil it? The captain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see? And now she got, oh, you brought this on yourself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So a lot of the rookie, and Avenged Sevenfold just came out with their new album on Friday. Life is but a dream, and this shit is all over the place. Like anybody who listened to Avenged Sevenfold before knows, hard rock, heavy metal, this, that, and the other thing, a bunch of different wacky stuff. They just threw all the rules out the window, and a lot of shit on this album is just, what am I listening to? I don't know. I love it. I forget I'm listening to Avenged, and it's great. Like, I love this album. It's gonna divide the entire fan base, and I'm here for it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to give it a listen because I've never been a huge fan, but if this is real different, maybe I'll like it. So who knows?
Other than that, I think, that's about it. How's about you? What's keeping you up at night?
So, Adventure Time. I'm still watching Adventure Time because there's a lot to watch, and I'm literally just finished season 3. I'm about to get on season 4, which is where things get hectic. So I was like, this is a good moment to just gather myself so I don't completely lose it. So I've been watching that. I'll go with the good stuff first because I watched some real shit recently. I started the new season of Queer Eye on Netflix. Awesome. I watched the first 2 episodes. It's really good, but every season they've done has been great. Fuck Netflix. I'll just put that out there for many different reasons, but the new shit that they're trying to pull right now, or they've put it through, is just bullshit. Have you heard about what they're doing now?
No.
Okay, so they have made it so that you cannot share an account with anybody in your house. That's active. They've done it. It's happening. So it's bullshit. As soon as I move, unless I live with somebody who has a Netflix, I'm not paying for it. I haven't been paying for it for years. But anyways,
weird thing is, it started showing that up for me so we could watch Bert Kreischer's new special, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's fine. I was able to watch it, no problem.
Jeez Louise. That special was really good, though, by the way. I really liked it.
I was a little, upset in the beginning. I was like, okay, all right. I wasn't really getting as many, whole belly chuckles as I was in the other specials. And then, the back half, especially that last story, I was wheezing laughing. I could not stop.
It was good.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick to the Netflix. I'll also follow it up with the same way I ended that one. I watched all of Tim Robbins' I Think You Should Leave today because that new season dropped. Each episode's 15 minutes long, so it's easy to watch an entire season in one sitting.
Yeah.
But if you haven't watched that show, it's hilarious. It's a sketch comedy. It's just really uncomfortable jokes. It's real uncomfortable to watch, but it's hilarious. And that's also on Netflix, and fuck Netflix. Speaking of stand-up, I watched Sarah Silverman's new special on HBO, which was awesome, hilarious. My stomach hurt. I was laughing so hard at the end of it. It's hilarious. You have to see. If you like Sarah Silverman, you'll love this one because it's she hasn't changed. Her comedy's the same. She's stuck to the same things. It's awesome. Ant-Man and Wasp got added. The new one got added to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I watched that. It was fun. Not a Marvel fan on the movie side. Not a big fan of those movies. But this one was fun. I know a lot of people hated it, but I had a good time with it. All right, before I get into the shit I watched, I'll stick to the music thing. Pupil Slicer just dropped a new album. I don't know if you've heard these guys before.
Pupil Slicer.
Yeah.
Come on.
So they're kind of an old school. They used to be. Their sound was kind of like old school hardcore.
Okay.
Had a little bit of the screamo side to it with some old power violence. Really just a meld of a couple genres.
Okay.
I didn't even realize they were dropping a new album. And then our buddy Sean hit me up and he just sent me a message. It was just the album. And I was like, oh shit, they dropped a new album. I had no idea. So I listened to it and it is black metal. It's just straight up Norwegian black metal with some math core mixed in with it. I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. So
happening? What am I listening to?
Literally, just the first song alone, I'm like, oh, okay, like, all right, I'm here for this ride. Let's take it. Let's do this. All right. So now the two pieces of shit that I watched this week. I watched a movie from 2008 called Backwoods, and the premise for the movie seemed really good. I was like, all right, it's kind of like Wrong Turn meets a corporate retreat. I mean, that's literally what the movie is. So I was like, all right, cool. This will be good. It'll be a fun watch. It was horrible, horrible. Don't do it. Don't watch it. Just it has a.
Are you saying there's no potential for a future episode?
Oh fuck no. Unless we're just gonna be like, this movie was shit again. No, you couldn't pay me. It has. I think it's Haley Duff. It's not Hillary Duff. It's her sister.
Okay, I think that is Haley.
Yeah, she's in it. Like, she's the only credited on the cover actress that's in the movie. It was just like, Haley Duff, Backwoods. I was just like, all right, cool. Let's go for this weird Disney ride. And it was terrible. All right. And then this one is just disappointing. Screambox just released an anthology. It's its first anthology that they had a hand in. I think they the company as a whole co-produced it, but it is a bloody disgusting production. So I was like, yes. It's called Creepypasta. And it is an anthology series.
Didn't we send that to each other or something like that?
Yep. Don't do it.
Oh,
just don't. Yeah. You would think that with all of this material that they have that exists for free on the internet, that anybody who's going to write and direct a short that somebody wrote and put out into the world for free, anyone who's going to write and direct that is going to take care and go, I'm going to give you the best that I possibly can. And it seems like a lot of these directors, they're all like first-time directors, so are like indie, very small directors.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed like they didn't take care of what was given to them at all.
They didn't pay respect to the source material.
Not at all. Out of the stories, I knew 3 of them. They aren't presented in like, this is the story name. They're presented in like, somebody has been coaxed to a house to find something on a flash drive. And now they have to watch all these flash drives to find the flash drive they need. That's the premise for the movie. It was just, I don't know. It was so bad. One of the shorts was really fun to watch. Like, it was really nice looking, but it just, I don't know what the story was. I have no clue. I was like, at the end of it, I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, it was cool, but what was the story? So that specifically did keep me up at night because I was so upset that it was that bad. So for once, something actually did keep me up, and it was that.
I was anger awake.
I don't even know if it was anger as much as disappointment. Like, it was like, yeah, it's like that when your parents would be like, look, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed. Like,
I've had that one before.
Same.
As mom tuned into this. Hi, Mom.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was, I mean, I'm going to save you. Just don't watch it, because at the end of it, you're going to be like, what the fuck? I wouldn't tell anybody else what they should do, but like, just be prepared. Like, it's not good. It is really, really independent. I mean, it's better than some of the stuff that's out there on like Tubi for free. But like, I don't know. Maybe I just had high standards. I went into it expecting more, and I think that might have ruined it for me. I mean, I'll be honest. This potentially could be an episode. There's a lot to be said. I could probably be coaxed into watching it one more time. Because maybe I missed something. I don't know. Maybe if I just go in going, this is a piece of shit, maybe I'll enjoy it this time. I don't know.
Just not Backwoods.
Fuck no, don't do that to yourself. It's not worth it. Like, literally just go and watch Wrong Turn 3. That movie, it's the worst of the Wrong Turn series, and it's better than Backwoods. Like, Backwoods was terrible. Oh my God. Yes. All right. So before we really jump into this, I want to let you know, Jason, Michael, and I had a conversation. We said, all right, you're leaving for summer camp.
Yep.
Heartbreaking. But we were like, how do we send you off? And you came up with the idea, and you were like, well, why don't we do something summer camp or summer vacation related? And I found you a bunch, and I was like, here's some movies.
Mhm.
And then you picked this one.
Not like the least summer campy, summer feeling horror movie, I think, probably out of the entire bunch.
I mean, it takes place during the summer, so there's that.
That's about as close as it got. Ugh. So,
Yep.
did you find a year for this? Because every site I looked for had differing numbers. It said either 78 or 79.
So
It's
the answer is yes to both of those.
love it.
So 78 was the UK release. It was released in the UK before it was released in the United States. It was released in the United States and Canada in 79.
Okay.
And it was released under a different title originally, which I don't remember the title name for in the UK. And it's something so like out there. Like the name doesn't make sense. I mean, technically the name for the movie doesn't make sense anyways, but we're talking about 1979's Tourist Trap. So if you didn't figure that out from everything posted on Instagram, like, because I love this movie. Honestly, I was in between two. I'm excited that we got to do this one because I love this movie.
Okay.
Like, I really do. I would have been down to do The Burning also. I love The Burning. They're both great movies, but The Burning is really close to Friday the 13th, and we just did Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
ready to get this started?
I want to do something that we don't normally do. I want to know your exact feelings before we go into this breakdown.
About the movie.
Yes.
Okay. There's a lot of thoughts, and they're definitely either going to be repeated or come out during this. It was very a lot of nothing really to me. Like watching it, it was just like, okay, all right. There's no real plot progression here. I felt it was a lot of the same stuff, just a lot of mannequins, and then like I just kept referring to him as Chuck Connors, like. Slouser, but Slauson. But like there was so much of this movie where it's like, okay, all right, creepy premise. Like the beginning, like in the gas station was like, okay, what's this? And then it just kept going on. It's like, oh, now it's kind of like sad because he's just like mentally unstable.
Yeah.
And not like a psychotic killer mentally unstable. He's like putting on a mask with a different wig and just hanging out, playing with dolls. I feel like it was also seen from a mile away that it was going to be him, but at the same point, again, I'll say more things when we get into it. But
okay,
hard. It feels like a movie that should have been remade in like that 2008, 2011 section of time where they were remaking a bunch of stuff, and it just wasn't good.
So there was a remake in the works that got canned. I mean, it says a lot, but at the same time, it's a little disappointing because I'd love to see that happen.
Yeah.
Still, like, they could remake it next year, and I'll be buying my ticket. It'd be amazing. All right. So the movie opens with a guy rolling a tire down the road with his shirt open, rocking an ascot, and a fisherman hat, just rolling a tire. His name is...
Desert.
We don't find out till later in the movie, but his name is Woody. And he's rolling a tire, and he just goes down the road. He sees a sign that says gas eats ahead, which is pretty much any time I eat. Vegan diets are fun. So that's literally the opening. And then it immediately cuts to a woman on the side of the road. A Jeep pulls up with 3 people in it, 2 women and a guy. Their names are Gary, Irene, and, Gary, Becky, and Molly. The woman on the side of the road is Irene, who is Woody's girlfriend, we assume.
Yeah.
They ask what's going on. The tire popped, and they had a spare, and the spare had no air in it, so Woody had to go get air in the spare.
See, the thing is, when he's rolling the spare down the road, it looks perfectly fine. It doesn't look flat at all.
Nope.
Also, having a full-blown actual tire as a spare, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I mean,
perfectly fine.
The 70s were a different time.
Yeah. Everybody's got full-blown tires out here.
So The opening of this movie is very hectic with the cuts. That's the other thing too. So it cuts back to Woody, and he finds what looks like an abandoned gas station, and he walks in, and there's nobody in there. It also looks like a restaurant inside or a bar, and he hears a woman whimpering, and like any normal person would do, he just helps himself into the back of the restaurant.
Yeah, as you would.
Yeah. Fuck knowing that somebody lives here. Oh, this is your house? I don't give a shit. Which is happens to be like a reoccurring thing throughout this movie. It's just like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here? Okay, I don't give a fuck.
Myself right at home.
So he opens the door and goes into this back room that happens to have a bed in it. And you see a woman under some covers, and he says, "Miss," and he's trying to get her attention, and then it sits up and turns real quick, and it's a mannequin.
And it's just starts laughing at him. This whole scene with all three laughs, like I think my personal favorite is the one that then secondly, after the door closes and locks him in, it like pops out of the closet, and it's just like a more sinister looking face, but the laugh isn't cool.
All of the laughs are so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bunch of mannequins. A headless mannequin smashes through a window for no reason.
Yep.
And then
go out the window, maybe?
Yeah, right. That's what I would have done too. I'm like, get out of my way. I'm out of here. Just jump through the window.
Yeah.
A cabinet opens and a bunch of objects come flying out, which is, that first bottle that comes flying out comes like right at the camera. It's such a cool shot. I don't care what anyone says. Like those shots are awesome.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm very intrigued to see how that was done because it looked great. Like, my brain was thinking maybe like the cabinet was like on the ceiling and they filmed it upside down and like things fell out that were supposed to. I don't know, but it was a real good shot.
Yeah, so it's a reverse shot. The bottles are on strings. So they pushed them towards the cabinet, and then they just showed it in reverse, so it looked like they were flying out.
Oh,
and
cool.
That's why the cuts are so quick when the bottles are smashing on the wall, because then they're actually just hucking them at him. So Woody's trying to get out. He finds a crowbar, and he's like trying to break the door down instead of just jumping through one of the windows. So somebody learns. Anyways, so then one of the coolest, most realistic kills I've seen in a movie. A pipe, also a reverse shot, by the way. They dropped it, like they threw it at the wall and dropped it. So when it's like wiggling, that's the reverse of what they did. It's such a cool shot. Anyways, it flies and it skewers him through his his lower back. And that's the most realistic thing. He doesn't scream. It's just agony.
Yeah.
Like pure, silent agony on his face. And
it's a very long take too, where it's just like, and he's just silent, and it slowly pans down. You see the blood drip, and then it just slowly pans through the rest of the room. It's like,
and you don't even
that real long shot.
Yeah, you hear the dripping on a tin can before you see it, which makes it so much better too, because you just hear that noise and you're like, what is that? And it's the blood dripping out of the other end of the pipe onto a gas can that's just on the floor.
Yeah,
it is freaking awesome. It's like one of my favorite shots. So yeah, then we just cut back to now everybody's in the Jeep. Sans Woody. No Woody. Woody's gone. Woody dead.
Just quickly abandon that Jeep on the side of the road though.
Yeah, so they pull up to a sign that says Slausson's Lost Arts. No, Lost Oasis. Slausson's Lost Oasis. And then they look, and there's Woody's tire on the side of the road, nowhere near this gas station.
Right.
Super random. Yeah. They decide to just go on up to the place. So they do. They drive up to the place. And
pass a sign that says closed to the public. Dun, dun, dun.
As they pull around a corner, the Jeep breaks down for no reason.
And guy in the front going, what happened? I don't know. It just stopped. I don't know what happened. And we're sitting here going, that's a real good point. It just stopped. No sound, no. Usually it's like a giant, but nope, just done. Out like a light. All right.
So one of the women they all get out of the Jeep, and Irene decides to just take off into the woods for a second. Granted, they're not dense woods. You can see where she's at. It's the middle of the day, but she runs out, and she calls the other girls over, and there's
They're
a
all running
waterfall.
around in heels too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
middle
one
of
of
the
them
desert,
almost eats
backwoods. Yeah. Practical. What can I say?
So they find a pond with a waterfall. I think it's a pond. We call it a pond.
Yeah, it's a body of water.
Yeah, and then we're really introduced to Molly. I think more than Becky, and she's just weird looking. So my very first time watching this movie, I honestly thought that the twist was gonna, like, as the movie went on, I was like, oh, the twist is gonna be that Molly's crazy, because she just looked fucking off the entire movie. You're like, she ain't right.
The feeling I got was I was correct with this. I'm sitting there going, yeah, she's gonna be the one that makes it to the end. And lo and behold, like, she just had that so, like, innocent looking, like, oh, I would never go do this all now. And it's just like, but you're going to do it. But fuck it, you'll live to the movie. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So they go skinny dipping, as you do. And
I was shocked that, like, we didn't see. I'm not complaining, but there was nothing. And for 70s, you saw nothing.
Yeah, and I mean,
it was shocking.
It was tastefully done too. Like, even like the close-ups, like Molly. There at any point in time, they could have had any of those women stand up just slightly, but the first shot, like up close shot, we get of Molly in the lake while they're skinny dipping. She's in front of, like, floating greenery in the water, so, like, she's covered no matter what. No, you're right. Like, there was a moment where I was just like, oh, here comes the boobs. Nope, no boobs. And we don't see any, I mean, mannequin boobs, but those don't count because there's no areolas. Put that on the record. Jesus Christ. Sometimes the words that come out of my mouth worry me. Horny for Stormy.
God damn it. What a great shirt idea. I hate the face in the cloud, though. Hate the face in the cloud.
So what Jason Michael's talking about right now is, I said that in the last episode, and then I went home and immediately made a picture of it, and I put, like, an anime face in a cloud, and yeah, dude, I went through like 6 different types of faces, and I was like, which one would make everyone uncomfortable?
That one!
I figured it out! All right, so the women are skinny dipping, and then we're introduced to Slauson. This old man.
The rifleman.
Yeah.
But he shows up with a shotgun instead of a rifle this time.
Yes. We'll get back to the shotgun, because there's a moment where I'm just like, this is awesome. I fucking loved it. But yeah, so he shows up with a shotgun and goes on this diatribe about, well, back in the day, I used to charge 75 cents for people to swim here all day and blah, blah, blah. But then that highway, it keeps going back to the highway.
Yeah.
A highway was built and it ruined his life.
It's like the plot of Cars.
Right? Oh, man, we can't get into the horror of what Cars is. She's just going to throw me off track.
Are there people that drive the cars inside of the cars, or what happens? I don't know.
I watched an entire video of questioning of what Cars was. Like, where do they eat from? Where do they go to the bathroom from? And, like, there was, like, there's a scene where there's a female car wearing a bra, and it's over their headlights. But then in other ones, the headlights are in eyes. It's just like, what is it?
What are you freaks? Yeah. Good Lord.
So Slauson walks back off into the woods. Then it cuts to the women coming out of the woods, going to go check out with, I forgot, freaking
Jerry?
Homeboy.
Gary?
Jerry. Thank you. Good Lord, my brain today. And as they walk up, Slauson's just standing behind Jerry. He's like, hello there, young man. You're like, who the fuck? Like, all right. And he goes, so what's going on? The car broke down. I'm not a mechanic. I can't fix this. And he just goes, well, get in my truck. I'll take you back to my house. Okay.
Red flag number 24 of this movie.
Why? Why are you just so quick to be like, sure, let's just jump in this dude's truck? Like, I have no idea where he's taking me. They just do it. So he takes them back he says he's taking them back to his house. And then he says, welcome to the museum. And it's actually a museum that has wax figures in it. Get this little breakdown of, like, this is the museum. It's all these wax figures.
And a lovely Dr. Pepper product placement.
Yes, which is one of the funniest moments is like there's a refrigerator next to a Dr. Pepper like soda machine.
Yep.
And he opens the soda machine and takes the sodas out of there, not out of the refrigerator. Anyways, I was just like, all right, I guess if I had a soda machine in my house, I'd do the same thing. But
guess I'm having a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, he takes Gary, he tells the ladies to stay put. Him and Gary are going to go try and fix the Jeep. And Irene looks out the window and goes, what's that? Oh, it's a house. Nobody lives there. Or no, don't go down there. Don't worry about it. And then he says that Davy lives there.
Yep.
And they're like, who's Davy? And he's like, Davy Crockett, of course. Yuck, 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 yuck. And then he has like a General Lee wax figure.
Yeah, and it's just like they don't get along.
Yeah, I gotta keep them separate. So Slauson and Jerry take off, and of course, Irene's just like, well, I'm gonna go check out that house.
As you would, yeah. Don't do that. Don't go there, please. I'm imploring you not to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you would.
So she waltzes down to the house, and as she walks up to the house, she hears talking, like a male and a female having a conversation. More of an argument. And she just lets herself in because there's no such thing as boundaries in the 70s, and you just walk into people's houses. Looking at you, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You gonna learn.
So she walks in and opens the first door where she hears the noise coming from, and there are two wax figures of an old people sitting in a living room, just chilling.
It gets unsettling real quickly. Like
very quick.
Yeah, you're expecting all of these, like, are they maybe, actually alive mannequins, or is there like a tape recorder, or what is it? But she continues to adventure throughout the house, finds herself a nice little, what is it, like a scarf that she takes, or another nice colorful ascot, I believe.
Yeah. She hears her name being whispered, and then she takes off. Yeah, and she walks into another room with mannequins this time. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't really call them wax figures outside of that. I did miss the fact that Slauson decided to overshare at one point and talk about being kicked out of the Navy, and then immediately, for some reason, it says he was also kicked in the head. So I think the kicked in the head thing is supposed to be like, this is why, something that will be brought up later. I mean, that must be a real powerful kick for that to be what's going on. But so she is walking around, and she walks into a room and sees all of these female mannequins standing around the room. The camera starts panning, and the eyes of the mannequins start moving. And she keeps hearing her name whispered. And then there's, from behind her in the dark, this person wearing a mannequin mask, dressed in the clothing that Woody was wearing in the opening of the movie, emerges from behind her.
I didn't notice that he was wearing Woody stuff, because honestly, as soon as Woody died and they just walked away like nothing happened, it's like, oh yeah, Woody's not here. His tire. Yeah, cool. So let's never talk about him. I was like, Woody's never going to show up again. They're just going to completely forget that Woody was even here, which I was wrong later in the movie, but I didn't know about that one.
That's every time we end up seeing. So I call it, in my notes, I listed him as the person as Mannequin Mask, because I was just like, I don't know how else to like put the name down without spoiling it, but I put him down as Mannequin Mask. So yeah, Mannequin Mask emerges from behind her and takes her out.
Using some form of telekinesis or psychokinetic powers, because the ascot just slowly gets tighter.
Yeah,
her out.
She gets choked with telekinesis.
May I say, this mask reminds me an awful lot of Texas Chainsaw. It kind of looks like the pretty lady Leatherface. And the whole character kind of gives me Leatherface vibes. But in a later scene, I'll just kind of nitpick at this character.
That's fine. I kind of assumed you would. When you said I have questions, I'm like, here we go. So then we hard cut back to the museum, and Becky and Molly are examining a specific wax figure that's dressed very differently, has its own like little cove that it's in, if you will.
It's got the lights. It's got the music.
Yeah, weird music too.
Yeah.
That we never get an answer, by the way. That is one thing that's always bothered me, because it's asked later, like, what's the music? Oh, she liked it.
Cool.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll go fuck myself. I don't know why I asked.
Why don't I ask questions anyway? I don't want to know answers.
So they touch it and say that it feels like flesh, not like wet, which is also something we never get an answer to. So there's certain things it's just like, why? Why does it feel like flesh?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. So Slauson shows back up without Gary and says that Gary took the truck. Well, they couldn't get the Jeep fixed, so he took the truck to go get it fixed, which is like, okay.
Yes, I bet you have.
And then Slauson just goes into this misogynistic tyrant about, like, a good woman knows how to take care of her man. And you're like, ooh, all right, dude. Yeah.
Thanks, Chuck Connors.
So, yeah, and he brings up the fact, it's so funny because it's like, at first you're just like, what a piece of shit while he's talking about that. Then he just goes into like, well, that mannequin was my wife. Like, that's what my wife looked like. She died from cancer in my arms. And you're like, oh.
No, I kind of feel bad.
Just like a flip of a coin. You're like, oh my God, what the fuck, dude? Like, that's heartbreaking. I'm so sorry. And then he realizes that Irene isn't there.
Yep.
Of course. So Slauson runs down to the house, and as he runs down to the house, he gets there and he starts yelling for Davy because it's Davy's house. So then he opens a door, and there is a mannequin seated that looks exactly like Irene.
Yep. When he first walks into the house and starts like turning on the lights in that hallway, it's very well done. Where all of a sudden it's like, boom, mannequin here. It's like, oh, okay. And then it slowly pans back, and he moves his face, which is then overshadowed by the mannequin that we didn't know was there. I love that shot. It was a fantastic shot.
I mean, there are a lot of really cool shots, especially in that hallway later in the movie. There's some really cool shots. Like, they directed an amazing job with building suspense.
Yeah.
In like almost the entire movie, you feel claustrophobic too. That's the other thing, is like, that house is fucking huge, and it feels like a real confined space the entire time.
It's filled to the brim with mannequins, which I think the budget of this was either 300 or 350,000. But like, I can't imagine how much of that went specifically to mannequin funds, because they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
And it's not like, especially back then, it's not like they could have just gone to like a landfill and picked them up. I'm sure now we could go to a landfill and find dozens of mannequins just chilling out. But I mean, the amount of work they did on them too, like removing the lower jaws and stuff like that.
Setting them up to puppeteer them. And like the mannequin like costumes where there are some moments in this where you see some of the mannequins and they move, where it's very clearly it's a person in a costume. And like making the mannequin like costumes, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, they do. All of the wax figures in the museum are just people in costumes. So then we hard cut back to the museum again, and Molly and Becky are once again just helping themselves to things in the museum, and they're going through a photo album they found, and they realize that the photos look like the wife. Like, they're like, oh, well, this is the wife. We then find out he says it is. This is my wife. Which is, okay, how long has she been dead? If that's really her, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, feels like flesh, but it's not flesh. It's
preserved really well.
Yeah. So Slauson shows back up and says that he's going to go try and find Jerry because Jerry hasn't returned yet. And this is the part I was talking about. I love this part. He turns around and grabs a shotgun off the wall, and fucking Molly's like, with a gun? You're going to go with a gun? He's like, okay, without a gun. It just hangs it back up on the wall for no reason. Like, it's just like, he's had a gun the whole fucking time, and now you have a problem with it? It's just like, how quickly he just turns around and puts it back. You're like, okay, without a gun. Which was, by the way, the first moment where you're like, it's Slauson. Because there's no way. You're like, but he tells the two of them to stay put. Don't come with me. Stay put. And they don't listen.
Why not?
Right.
Let's never abide by any warnings in the middle of the woods that we don't know, and all of our friends have already gone missing. Yeah, let's go adventure. Sure.
Yeah. So they walk down to the house. Lawson fucking disappears into thin air within like 2 seconds of them walking out the door behind him. They walk down to the house, and Becky's just like, "I'm gonna go in the house." Molly's like, "You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to go in the house. You're pretty sure your friend's already gone into the house. How are you going to go into the house? Through the front door, right?"
Mm.
No,
That's a
that.
nice looking trellis over there. That's a nice looking trellis.
So she climbs the trellis to the second floor and crawls in a window.
Yeah.
It's the fucking dumbest moment in the movie. I was like, why?
Yeah.
There's a door right the fuck there. Like, all right, cool. Oh, man. And Molly just dips. She's like, bye. Like, what the fuck is this friendship? Like, this is the weirdest. Oh, my God. This is why I love this movie so much, is there's so many disjointed, just random things that happen throughout the movie where you're like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, why? Oh, my God. I'm fucking crying. I'm laughing so hard. So Becky walks into the house, and she walks into a room, and she hears what sounds like Woody and Irene. And she's like, okay, so they're getting intimate or whatever. And she goes to the room where she hears the noise coming from, opens the door, and it's this long, drawn-out shot of her with a flashlight, putting the flashlight on different mannequin faces, and the whole time being like, hey, guys, come on. All right, guys.
When she first walks in with it under her chin, like, oh, man, like, you got me.
It's like a fucking 5-minute sequence of her not moving from the doorway and continuing to say her friends' names. Like, dude, they're not there. Like, fuck off, leave. So she then walks into the room and moves the blanket, and there's like a bloody mannequin head.
I think so.
It could be paint. We'll just say it's a bloody mannequin head. And she remains in the room. Once again, all right, guys, it's not funny anymore. Like, just leave. But she doesn't. She fucking stands there and...
so many red flags to just run away from. But no, let me just stick around. Yeah, that's a great idea, Sport.
So Becky's standing there...
Incompetent.
Yes. So here's the second time. As Becky's standing there, mannequin face appears from behind her, dressed like Irene. So mannequin mask dude is doing this a lot. Like he'll take somebody out, so you think, and then he'll dress like them. He's taking identity.
Kind of Leatherface like.
Exactly. So she runs out to the next room, and the doors in that room, it's a different room with more mannequins, and the doors start shutting behind her. She sees a mannequin she thinks is Irene from behind. The mannequin turns around and lunges forward at her, and it's not Irene. It's a mannequin dressed like Irene. And then mannequin mask appears behind her, also dressed like Irene. And so you got two in the same room at the same time. And then she gets knocked out by the dude in the mask. So we cut to mannequin mask bringing Becky downstairs. She carries her down to this basement and ties her to like the banister underneath the stairs. That's when we find out that Gary's still alive because he's also tied up down there. And there's another woman.
Random woman.
Strapped. They say her name at one point too, and I did not.
I think maybe she mentioned it, but then she's like, yeah, he took me a few days ago or like a week ago. I was out on the road and he just took me. I think it was, I want to say about his Tracy.
So Gary, so they're down there, mannequin mask takes off. Gary then goes into, this is it's Slauson's crazy brother. He's been doing this. He's down here, and the entire time, like, Gary's also chewing on the rope because he's tied up like this. He's like chewing on the rope, trying to get free. My teeth hurt.
So I've had to do that to like untie knots from like ropes elements before, and I've wound up getting the most sensitive teeth because I just rip off the enamel for like a few days, and it's miserable. Eating, drinking, it's horrible. I'm sitting there going, Stop doing that. Your enamel, no. Ugh. It was miserable to watch. This is where I start having, like, I don't want to say criticisms, but just like nitpicky things, especially at the killer. at this point, we've probably already guessed who it is. But like when he starts talking, I understand why he has to start talking, because it's Chuck Connors. You get a big name like that, you got to use him to his full potential. So he starts talking. That took me out of the whole thing, because I'm looking at this guy. It's like, wow, he's kind of Leatherfacey. He's kind of imposing, like little grunts here and there, and then he starts making coherent sentences. It's like, oh, that's kind of upsetting.
And see, that's where I think that's definitely where you and I differ, because I like the voice. Like, he has this really deep, almost like a distinguished gentleman voice, but it is like real uncomfortable to listen to.
Little girl.
Yeah, he keeps calling her. He knows her name's Molly. He keeps calling her a little girl, which is like also uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So the scene we're about to get to is the scene. I've watched this movie dozens of times, and this scene makes me uncomfortable every single time. And it's like one of those moments. I'm sure you've watched a movie where you have to remind yourself while you're watching the movie that you need to breathe, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I need to breathe, sort of situation. So we cut back to the museum again. Molly's in the museum, and she's touching the wife mannequin, putting the robe on her and everything like that, and then it just cuts away. Like,
it was such a useless scene.
It's not there. I want to say it's not there for any reason. I feel like it was supposed to be, because she's like his wife, sort of thing. But it's like it wasn't a necessary shot to have.
Yeah,
like then we cut.
It could have happened in another scene with Molly there. It just was like so removed from her last scene. All of a sudden, it's like, bam, we're back to Molly, and bam, we're back to the basement. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that scene would have worked really well while Becky was still with me. They could have done it with the photo book scene where it's like, it looks like his wife, and then she starts touching the wife.
Yeah.
But whatever. So then we cut back to getting to see Mannequin Mask, like, actually dolling himself up once again, like Leatherface.
Yeah.
He's putting on a new mask. He's dressing differently, kind of like a butler-ish thing with a top hat on.
Nice suit jacket. It's the bell bottoms that keep throwing me. Like the top part's like, that's kind of spooky and Leatherface-like and intimidating. Oh, okay. Got it.
Bell bottoms and cowboy boots.
Who could it be?
So then he goes downstairs, back down to the basement. He's got a tray. This is the part that cracks me up. So he goes down there. He tries to give Becky a drink, and she refuses it. And then he makes the woman strapped to the table drink also. But before he does any of that, he spent all that time getting ready. He walks downstairs. The first thing he does, he takes his hat off and hucks it across the room, and then takes his gloves off. He was like, what was the point of getting ready if you're just going to do that?
That's exactly what I said to Zoe. I was like, okay, he just put on that whole thing. Fuck the hat, fuck the gloves, I don't need them. Cool. You could have gone up, got your tray, and came back down. There was no need.
No. So we are in the basement at this point. We're at the basement, and this is the scene that makes me the most uncomfortable. Mannequin Mask grabs a bucket and puts it down above the head of random lady on table and starts talking about the fact that it's plaster. And he goes into this like excruciating detail as he's putting the plaster on her face. And he's just like, it feels nice and gooey and soft now.
Then it starts to burn.
And he then starts going into like what you're mentally going to go through as he's applying it. Like, as I'm putting this on you, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen as I'm putting this on you.
Yeah.
And he covers her mouth, and he's like, now you're going to start to panic. And then he puts it over her eyes. And as he covers her nose, that's the moment that gets me, is he goes, all right, now I'm going to cover your last airway. And, oh my gosh, the line. I wrote it down because I was like, I have to. He goes, you're not going to die from suffocation. You're going to die. Your heart will burst from fright, which is like oh my gosh. And that actress they got to act like, the suffocation, the fact that it's dead silent, all you hear is a heartbeat, that entire scene. Oh my gosh. It's intense. That is the scene that I always am like, all right, Rob, breathe. Breathe.
It's just a movie. A movie.
Oh my gosh. So at that exact moment, Gary breaks free and he attacks Mannequin Mask down to the ground. You're like, yes, he's gonna do it. And then we see how strong Mannequin Mask actually is.
Yep.
As he single-handed chokes like Michael Myers version all the way up the wall. I was like, holy shit.
Yep.
Oh, I always forget about that scene too, because I'm like that moment, it's overshadowed by just that, the plaster sequence is just so unnerving. So yeah, he presumably kills Gary at that point.
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, Molly had asked to use the phone in the museum to call somebody. And Slauson said that the phone doesn't work because he has no one to talk to.
Yep.
So after Mannequin Mask chokes Gary, we cut back to the museum to hear the phone ring.
Lo and behold.
And Molly answers it, and there's no one there. So she just hangs up the phone, which is like one of those things, like she looks confused for a split second and then just like.
But then she like picks up the wire, sees that it's like frayed to all hell, and it's like, swear to God, he did say that it wasn't working. What's happening now?
Yeah. So Slauson reappears and is talking with Molly about how much he hates his brother, says that his brother, no, I'm sorry, that is, who is he? No, it's Mannequin Mask is talking. I forget who the fuck is he talking with.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the whole like story progression of this movie because I feel like a lot of it was just jumpy and all over the place.
No, okay, so no, it is Mannequin Mask. Mannequin Mask shows up. He's talking with Molly in the museum, and he's telling him that he hates his brother, and then he has to wear the mask because his brother makes him wear these masks because he's too handsome, and he's afraid that he's going to take his wife because he's so handsome. Which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh no, he's talking with Becky. Becky's still alive. He's talking with Becky about that in the basement.
Yeah. Because Slauson goes to the museum.
Yeah.
And not mask face.
He's messing with the woman that's still on the table. We don't ever see what he's doing. He's talking with her. While he's having this rage conversation, he drops a key on the floor. And Becky then finally decides to reach to get it, and it moves away from her and moves away. And that's when we find out, like, yes, indeed, Mannequin Mask has abilities. He admits the fact that he has telekinesis.
He's like, neat little trick. Just like, oh, you're so close to getting it. It's like what is that? I think it's like, I want to say it's a insurance commercial, but it's the dude with the fishing hook and the dollar bill going,
yeah,
what? You gotta be quicker than that.
Oh man, what was it? I think that was an insurance company. It was J.G. Wentworth. I don't know. I'm just saying J.G. Wentworth. So yeah, then we cut back to the museum, and Molly's like, I gotta find where my friends are at. So she takes off, and she runs through the fucking woods, and Mannequin Mask finally appears, and she sees him for the first time.
Yep. And
he's chasing after her. And there's the moment which I have posted here on Instagram, which is such a great moment, where he's just like, say hello to my friend. And it's the mannequin head of Woody. Just like, and the mannequin mouth opens up and says Molly, but like in the most distorted voice possible.
Yeah. See, I think it was at that point where I realized, oh yeah, they're actually bringing back Woody. They didn't just completely forget about him.
No. He's been there the whole time. So, and then at this point in time, this is where I feel like any casual viewer of this is going like, what the fuck is happening with these mannequins? Because they've spoken, they've moved on their own, they've sang. That's a reoccurring thing throughout the movie. These oohs and ahs you hear that you think is background music is actually the mannequins singing. It's not just like ambiotic music. Ambiotic? Is that the right word?
Ambient music.
Yeah.
Ambience.
Ambiotic sounds like something like afterbirth or some shit like that. I don't want to. Gross. What the fuck?
I know what you're trying to say.
Ambient music.
Yeah.
So, yes, chase through woods. Molly jumps over a fence, like climbs over a fence.
She spent her sweet time just moving so far down that fence just to hop over that one section. It looked like she could have just hopped over it at any point in time.
Seriously. And then Mannequin Mask just hucks the fucking head at her. I love that moment where he's just like, say hi to my friend, and just hucks the head at her. And the mannequin head then moves on its own and turns to face her, and the mouth drops open again. And we hear that distorted Molly coming from its mannequin head again. So as she's running, she finds a road, and a truck comes up, and it's Slauson. Slauson's driving the truck.
It's a very weird scene. It looks like she's just in a small box of trees, and then she kind of runs out of the box. It kind of looks like it's in 3D or something. Like it's breaking the Matrix here, but it's really disorienting at first. And then when the truck shows up, it's like, oh, okay, perfect. And at this point, if you have not figured out who the killer is, it just seems too good to be, too good of timing to not be anybody else.
It's not just the too good of timing. That dude is fast.
Mm-hmm.
The entirety of the movie, anytime Slauson's on screen and moving, he's limping. He has a limp the entire time. So Molly gets in Slauson's truck and starts talking about somebody's after her, somebody's chasing her, and he's like, describe him, what does he look like? She describes Mannequin Mask, and he's like, oh, that's my brother. Just immediately, oh, that's my brother. She's like, we need to call the cops. We need to get him out here. We need to get them out here now. And he's like, no. Let me capture my brother. I'm just going to go back to the shop and put a radio in the window. That'll call him out. Like, what?
Sure.
It makes no sense. Yeah. Music will pull him out. Like, okay. So she stupidly agrees. They go. He goes into a shop. He's probably in that gas station for like 3 seconds. Oh, wait. He gives her a shotgun and says, hold on to this. This will keep you safe. Then he goes in. He's in there for like 3 seconds, and she loses her shit. Mr. Slauson! Like, dude, give him a minute. So then the music starts playing, and Mannequin Mask literally just like appears from behind the truck, like just like, hello, I'm here. You're like, oh shit. Yeah. He starts walking, like lumbering towards her. So she shoots, which is awesome. I mean, like, she hesitates, but doesn't over hesitate. She gives him enough time to like fuck off, but he doesn't. So he shoots her. She shoots him once, and he goes down, but he's still moving. And then he goes to get up again, so she shoots him again, and then that's when you hear, like, he starts laughing, and he's just like, you're shooting me with blanks. Like, there's nothing in the gun.
But at the same point, there's still something in blanks where at close range, they are still deadly projectiles.
Well, no. Here's the thing. At any distance, you're safe with a blank. The only time that it would be deadly at blank-wise is if it's pressed up against you, which it's never pressed up.
Close. That was pretty close.
Yeah, it's close, but not close enough to do any damage. We'll never do an episode on The Crow. That's just too heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mannequin Mask then says, they're blanks. So Molly does the most logical thing that doesn't normally happen in a horror movie and just uses the butt of the shotgun and just wham! And this is kind of a cool shot too, I think, in my opinion. It was kind of awesome. Is Mannequin Mask has his face covered and the mask is crumbling in his hands. As he lowers one hand, we then realize it's Slauson.
Chuckers!
And her response is, you?
Yeah. What you?
So he knocks her out, takes her back to the house. And this is pretty much the point where like everything kind of goes, keep it real simple. We then go back to the basement. We find out that Gary's still alive. He was not choked to death.
Yep.
And he's tied up again in a different location. Becky finds at
this point. Just
seriously
tied to everything.
I mean, hey, we're not here to kink shame.
Not wrong.
So Becky finds something to cut the ropes loose, passes to him. They get loose. They run upstairs. We cut also back to Molly she is tucked in bed. We don't actually see it, but she tries to move and can't. So we assume that she's also tied up underneath the covers. As Becky and Gary are trying It's a name. It's close enough.
We're just calling people a bunch of names at this point. It's fine.
Yeah.
You with the face.
Yeah, you with the faces and the mannequin peoples. So they go upstairs and there's a long hallway. We're back at the hallway again. We get to see in its entirety, and it's just lined with mannequins. Really cool shot. Then it cuts to Slauson. I'm no longer calling him Mannequin Mask. Seated on a floor, the original, the first floor in that room in the house with the two old wax figures. And he's playing with some dolls.
Yeah.
And this is the shot we get to see where, like, from the head to the waist, he's dressed like a woman, and then he's got his bell bottoms and his cowboy boots on. So there's no question. He thinks he hears something, and he turns, and then this is first moment where we see it actually happen. He looks directly at the old lady wax figure and says, "Did you see something?" And she says, "Stop fussing." And so it's still, we're at this moment where it's like, is it him? Does telekinesis allow control, or are these things actually alive?
Yeah.
And spoiler to this spoiler, we never find out. Like, there's no fucking answer.
Why would they?
So he gets up and looks in the hallway, and Gary and Becky have hidden within the mannequins. So they look as if they're one. And he doesn't see them. He goes back to playing with dolls, hears a noise, and this is where the most Texas Chainsaw thing of this entire movie happens. Gary just full sends and jumps through a window.
Yeah.
No fucks given. He just goes for it. Slauson says, "You're not going to get away from me." Becky takes off also into the woods. They die.
Like, Gary goes off on his own. We don't see him for a little bit, but she takes off and then, like, kind of collapses in, like, a barn doorway or whatever. And then we see Slauson, who at this point, she doesn't know who he is. So he's like, "Oh, let me help you." Picks her up, brings her back to the museum, which I thought this scene was great, where she's in there and then the mannequins start just freaking the hell out. They all start moving. They all start, like, and he's just sitting there watching it all happen. And, like, gun pops are going off. Things are being thrown. She's trying to leave. And then one with a knife just right in the back of her head.
So in the beginning of the movie, one of those wax figures fires a blank gun. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a blank in the gun. And this time they're all shooting, like, live rounds, which is really cool. Yeah, and so there's a Native American wax figure, throws an axe, misses, and throws a knife and gets her dead in the back of the head. Oh, yeah. And once again, it's silence during those kills. Like, these kills that we got on screen, there's nothing playing, like, no, like, oh, this is supposed to be scary. It's just silence, and, like, you see, like, the realization on her face as she's, like, dying. You're like, holy shit. That's why these kills are why I like this movie so much, because you get to see it's a little bit more realistic than, like, the other side of the spectrum, where, like,
my favorite kill is the one coming up that is the most unrealistic of them all. I love this kill, but we'll get there in just a hot second.
Why don't you take over from this point on? I've been going on and on.
No, that's fine. Like, so eventually we get back to the house, and what the hell's his name again? Gary, Jerry, Fred, Tom, Dan? I don't know.
Gary.
The only other guy that's not, Gary, finds Molly, helps Molly out of there, and they eventually find themselves upstairs. I don't remember. Shut up, stomach. You're grumbling. I don't know. I can't remember exactly where they find an axe, but they get an axe, and they find themselves.
So it's actually Slauson brings Molly upstairs. It's the weirdest fucking thing. It makes zero sense to me. He untucks her from the bed, like,
oh, he did. Yeah, I don't remember this movie at all.
So she wakes up still in that bed, and there's a woman, not a mannequin, a woman leans forward and gives her water. And she's like, "Who are you?" The woman doesn't say a fucking thing. And then Slauson shows up, unties her, picks her up, brings her up to the attic, and then lays her down on a blanket on the floor, and then, like, takes his jacket off and puts it under her bed. It's like, you just moved her from a comfortable bed and put her ass on the floor for no fucking reason whatsoever.
Yeah. And with that woman that just leaned back and said nothing, all of a sudden it cuts back to her, and she is a mannequin. It's not, this is an actress, and an actress standing still. This is now a mannequin.
Yep.
So yeah.
Molly pretends to be asleep. Slauson potentially starts to fall asleep, hears her move, comes to. Molly starts crawling forward.
It kind of reminds me of the scene from The Black Phone where Kevin Bacon is just like sitting in the chair, just waiting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he knows exactly what's about to happen, but it's like he's just playing along.
Yeah. Ethan Hawke, not Kevin
Ethan.
Bacon.
I get those two confused all the time. We also just used in the last episode.
Yeah. So as Molly is crawling, all of the mannequins start turning and looking, and then Slauson like wakes up. She realizes that Slauson's awake, and this is like this scene's really cool. All of the mannequins start like moving and start like leaning forward, and like their mouths delay open and start like oohing and awing again. And she screams.
There is one where there's maybe 3 or 4 of them in one scene where it's just a guy. You can see a just actor just, all right, we're going to turn now. It's like, that's not a mannequin. That's a human.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that happens. This is the end of the movie. This happens a lot throughout the end of the movie. We hear Gary yelling for Molly, and she's standing in the doorway. Slauson's just standing in the next room, and he's just looking at her and looking at the door. Gary busts down the door, and he's like, come here. Slauson does nothing. It's just an awkward sequence. Molly finally goes to Gary and just tells him, commands him, like, fucking kill him. Fucking kill him. And he doesn't.
Yeah. I love this kill so much.
He says he can't do it. And she's like, why? And the cut. This is the cool thing, is the way that they cut this one sequence is just amazing. Slauson walks up and grabs Gary's arm, and we see from behind Gary and Slauson's face, and he grabs his arm, and then it cuts the other way, and he just turns and pulls off a mannequin arm, and it's Gary standing there with no arm. And then he grabs Gary's head and turns it and takes it off and hucks it on the floor, and it shatters. And then
he just turned Gary into a mannequin, and that's how he killed him.
Yeah, manhandles him to the floor.
Like, he could have done, if he did that now, imagine he probably could have done that from the get-go. It's like, and you're a mannequin, you're a mannequin, you're a mannequin.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is, I think he for some reason took more care with Gary the way he probably did with his wife, and made it more of a wax figure than a mannequin, because Gary looks real and all the other mannequins look like fucking mannequins. But yeah, we'll get to that. I'll get to that in a second. So Molly picks up the axe and fucking just axes Slauson right in the fucking neck, and he falls down. And then we cut to Molly driving the Jeep with the mannequins of all of her friends in the Jeep with her. We get a freeze frame. She's smiling, and then the credits roll.
It kind of reminds me like the end of House of a Thousand Corpses, or even like kind of like Devil's Rejects. And Zoe was pointing out, she's like, is she going to be like the next Slauson? Like, is she going to start making this own mannequin house with all of her friends? Like, something snapped with her.
Right. And so that's where this comes from. That's where this next part comes in, is the fact that everything we witnessed at the end with Molly and Slauson, were the mannequins really that realistic, or shut up, stomach, or was
same
just, or was it just trauma? Did trauma affect her? Because there's also that ending sequence where Slauson picks up a mannequin and starts dancing with it.
Yeah.
And
it turns into someone.
Yeah. Every turn we get to see a real woman and then a mannequin woman. And it's like, all right. So now if we want to go scientifically with it, like, there is signs of like trauma can make you see and remember things differently, hear things that aren't there. But then we go back to the fact that, like, Molly wasn't in the museum when the wax figures came to life and were shooting guns. But he also said his brother was really good at mechanical things. So, like, technically they could have been programmed to fire guns and be aimed. But, I mean, there's so many other moments where you're like, I don't know. Like, that's why I like this movie. Every time I've watched it, I've walked away with a different idea. Like, this watch was like more trauma. I'm going, it's trauma. Trauma's affected her. But there are other watches where I'm like, it's all supernatural. but it also throws
probably gonna have to rewatch it.
Yeah, but it also throws into question the telekinesis. Like,
Yeah.
was the telekinesis a necessary add for that character? Like, did Slauson need to have telekinesis to make this movie good? Would it have been better if he didn't have telekinesis? Like, yeah.
It definitely gave something new that a lot of these like slashers did not have. Like a lot of them were just like, I'm an unkillable monster, but like that's all I got to me. Versus like, oh, I'm completely coherent. I am a man, but I have these special powers at the same point. It's like, okay, all right, it's its own thing. If Slauson didn't die, maybe Slauson would have gotten in like his own tourist trap franchise. Who knows?
Yeah. So at the end of it, I still love this movie. Let's see. What are we gonna use? Have you thought of a rating?
How many out of 10? How many distorted Molly screaming mannequin heads would you give this movie?
I'm gonna give it a 9. As much as I love this movie, I'm gonna give it a 9, just because it feels like something's missing. Like every time I watch it, I always feel like there's something. There's an element of this movie that was not added that it needs to take it that one step above.
Okay.
What about you?
It's gonna sound kind of harsh, but I'm probably gonna have to rewatch it. There's a Rift Tracks version for MST3K, so I might watch it with that. I'm probably gonna give it on my initial watch, maybe like a 4.5. Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was real hard.
The moment when you said I really love this movie, I was like, ooh, it's gonna be rough. It's not the movie where it's like I'd give it a 0 and you'd give it a 10. We still have to find those movies. But
I mean, this is close though. This is the closest, like opposite side. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be real hard for us to find where a movie that one of us is at a 0 and the other is at a 10.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the closest we've gotten to that. Yeah, most of the other ones we've been pretty much in the same ballpark. Like Scream 6, I'm pretty sure we were along the same lines, like a 6 or a 7, I think. Evil Dead, perfect, great movie, minus that. I don't even remember. What was it? One thing that was completely unrealistic to me, or it was the tape measure in Barbarian. There was something in Evil Dead Rise where I was like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I still stand by it. Like my only issue with Evil Dead Rise is I really wish we could have seen more of the homunculus. Like I understand that leaving it off screen left more to the imagination and made it a little bit more scary.
Mm-hmm.
But when you make an Evil Dead movie and you're making Deadites, you show the fucking Deadites. Like you don't put them off screen. We're not making the Blair Witch Project. Like we're making an Evil Dead movie. Fucking show me a Deadite. Oh my god.
God damn it.
So yeah. All right. I'm not gonna get emotional, but this is our last like you and I weekly live stream.
Yes.
Together. And that sucks. I'm going to miss seeing you like every week. I know you and I are going to be talking, but like I'm going to miss you. Straight up, I'm going to miss seeing you. You are going to be coming back from time to time though.
Yes.
When you're able to. So as it stands now, I'm going to let you know a little bit further in. I have booked, and I'll let everybody else know, I have booked special guest co-hosts.
I've been seeing the notifications and the messages go nuts. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's putting in so much work. Rob, you do so much work for this, and it's like nuts. Like you have recruited so many people already to be guests, and I'm sitting here going, hey buddy, sorry. But I'm like taking this from the get-go. It's like, oh, let's start this. It's going to be rough when the summer comes along. You have taken the problem and already started to fix it like that.
I've tried. I'm trying, and I'm still going at it. I'm really excited about every single one of our guests that I have coming on to fill in your shoes for a little bit. There's a few that are like they're going to be fun. One episode is going to be completely fucking unhinged, and I'm really excited about it. But we also, by the way, I'm not telling anybody who the guests are until the week of. But I will say this, we have somebody coming back, which you already know who it is. We only had one guest so far, but we have somebody coming back, and I'm super amped about it. I'm kind of didn't think it through. I should have had that. I should have had him come on this month, but whatever. He's coming back next month, so it's going to be really cool. Is there anything that you want to say before we don't see you for a little bit?
Well, first off, thank you to everybody that's been watching and listening and been supporting like this endeavor, this wonderful podcast that was entirely Rob's idea. And he just goes, "Hey, you want to do this?" I'm like, "That sounds awesome." Because, again, he let me use his Paramount so I could watch Scream 6. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And he's like, "You want to do a podcast about it?" And I was like, "Sure." So thank you, Rob, for inviting me onto this and making it a partnership in horror movies, discussions, differing opinions, and all around just friendship and nonsense. So everybody that's been supportive, especially over on we're still on the Instagram. I don't know why I said over on, but here to Rob, to myself, thank you. I swear I'm not getting choked up. It was a piece of a tater tot, I promise. Thank you, everybody, for so far. And please continue to support throughout the next upcoming months. I will be doing occasional pop-in things. I'll record some like filler stuff, non-canonical episodes where it's like, you see all this random stuff behind me. Rob's seen it. What does the museum look like? Which is what I affectionately call my name, my room, and recording room. So, yeah. English is a tough language. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I said words today that didn't make sense, so there's that.
Ambistic?
Ambiotic.
Oh,
It's fucking stupid. It's not a word. I'm sure it is a word. I'll look it up afterwards and I'll feel stupid. But
then you'll see the definition and go, ooh, should have said that.
Dude, I want to thank you too. Like, podcasting is something I've always wanted to do. Like, for years and years and years and years and years, and really never had the balls to do it. I attempted at one point, and it didn't work out. Hey, guess what? Fuck Netflix. So in my head, there were so many like ideas I've had, and anytime you and I have had a text conversation or gone to the movies together and had their talks afterwards, I've always enjoyed it. And I'm like, this is so much fun. It's like a conversation that other people would definitely join in on. And I'm like, that's the podcast I listen to. That's what they are, like Camp Nightmare. We love you guys. Like, literally, yes, literally, this would not happen. This wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for JB and Jordan. Like, you guys created a community that built this strong brotherhood that Jason, Michael, and I have with each other now. And I'm so glad this happened. I can't believe it. We're only on episode 5, but it feels like we've been going for so much longer at this point. It's kind of funny, but there is so much more to come. Like, that's the thing is, I have guest co-hosts coming on, but none of them are going to replace you. Like, it won't be you. All right. I'm not going to get emotional. I'm about to. No. I am going to miss you, dude. I'm going to miss talking with you, but we're going to be texting to our website, spoilersleepover.com. If for some reason you can't find us on Spotify by typing in Spoiler Sleepover, you should. But you will be greeted with a pop-up the minute you open our website, and that will literally directly link you to Spotify. And if you, on our main page, as soon as you get there, if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see our little store. Our store has our first item ever, official Spoiler Sleepover limited edition sleepover invitations.
Hell yeah.
The art was completely done by me, inside, out. There's a full photo on the inside, full photo on the front, full photo on the back. There are a few of those invitations, this will be completely at random, that will have some stickers in them. The price listed on our website is the price. There is no shipping and handling at all. So you pay one flat rate and you will get a limited edition numbered invitation in the mail. Please give us a follow, give us a plug, check us out on Spotify. I believe we're on Amazon Music now.
Ooh.
And yes, we're on something else. I don't remember what.
Still haven't got that Apple Podcast done yet? Or is it still fighting technical difficulties?
Such a pain in the ass. You're gonna have to figure it out. I feel like you're smarter than I am when it comes down to a lot of that stuff.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I feel like we've done a lot of thank yous already. But is there anybody else you want to thank?
I think I've said my piece. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you.
No, you.
This is a visual gag for anybody watching. You. It's like the block coming at the camera in the beginning of the movie.
Just the fuck is happening right now? Yeah. I'm just gonna throw that thank you back out to JB and Jordan and Bree and Matt. We love you guys so much. Thank you so very much for being there. Sean, dude, thank you for always just plugging us, making sure we're on your story at least once a week. Like, dude, you're the best. Jason Michael, I love you, man. You're like a brother. I'm so glad we got to do this, and I can't wait till we get to do it again.
Hell.
So, until next week, I've been Rob.
I've been Jason Michael. Sleep tight, suckers.